Hello, all you Autism Parenting Magazine readers. It's June 2014, and unfortunately, the autism community has been thrust into a negative spotlight again. As an editor, I know language is extremely important. It empowers people, it inspires people, it educates people, and unfortunately, it can even degrade and stereotype people. In the past month, I had some people comment about how we should stop using the term Asperger's. So I want to just clarify a few things. One, I always ask people how they would prefer to be referred to, and when I can. As far as the articles that we post on social media, they are not from the magazine. They are often from the internet that we are just sharing as anybody else on Facebook or Twitter shares different articles that they think are informational. And we try to find hopeful articles as well. However, sometimes the articles are not perfect, and the journalist that wrote them may not be well educated about special needs or disabilities or about autism at all. So if you do find something that is offensive, I do recommend that you contact the journalist that wrote the article, because hopefully you can educate them. 3, just because the DSM-5 changed things, it doesn't mean that people that weren't previously diagnosed don't relate to that diagnosis as having Asperger's. And they also do not lose their diagnosis just because the DSM-5 changed. I understand that they grouped everyone together in an effort to build a sense of community. However, some people with Asperger's relate to that term and prefer to stay with that term, and I feel they have every right to refer to themselves as either having Asperger's or as being an Aspie. So when I can, I ask people how they would like to be referred to, and when I can't, I try to weigh every situation and use my best judgment. So I do apologize if I offend people. I try my best to never offend anybody, but ultimately, someone is always offended. You can't please everyone. Now, in addition, one of our writers in the past went to Israel to a university, and she spoke with the scientist, Aiden Minash, and he believes that there are many variations genetically. Sometimes there's many variations of autism spectrum disorders. And because of that, I feel that sometimes there is a need to mention the different type, even though the DSM has grouped everyone under one umbrella now, and it's just autism spectrum disorder. So when it is important to the article to clarify, ultimately, I always tell people, refer to the person by name. Because, unfortunately, there are negative views of autism. And once again, the media has cast a horrible negative view of autism in the past month. It started with an article in the Washington Post with a horrific title that is entitled "Significant Statistical Link Between Mass Murder and Autism Brain Injury." Even though the literature that the article was based on is said to be anecdotal and speculative by the authors themselves. So let's get this straight. There are some authors that decided to do some research, and their research in the paper they wrote is anecdotal and speculative. Yet the Post thought this would be a great story. Well, the Post fails to mention that the study states various follow-up studies suggest that people with ASD are no more likely to commit violent crime than the general population, and may even be less likely. So, I may not be a genius here, but I'm thinking a significant statistical link between mass murder and autism may not have been the best wording. Forbes contributor, blogger, and scientist Emily Willingham wrote a rebuttal to the Washington Post article, and in it states that the author, Claire, and the co-authors claim that 67 of the 239 eligible killers that they evaluated in their review had, and I quote, definite, highly probable, or possible autism spectrum disorder. Definite, highly probable, or possible autism spectrum disorder? Really? Yet this is a credible source that warranted an article by the Washington Post. I mean, could you get any more vague? Most of the general population has some trait of autism, has, the ability to hyperfocus, or they may pick their nails or chew their pencil. They may have some sort of a stim. That doesn't mean, does that mean everyone has possible autism? Maybe we are all somewhere on that spectrum, right? I don't know, but that I have to laugh. Definite, highly probable, or possible. That's as clear as when Wanda Sykes in that Evan Almighty movie says, I go to church every Sunday. Well, every other Sunday. Hell, I've been to church. That's as clear. That's as clear as that. But to be serious, out of the 67 that might have had autism, or might have autism if they are still alive, only 6 were in the definite category. 6 out of 239. To further prove how erroneous this article was, Policy Durbin Westby did more research and found that an expert witness clarified that one of those 6 did not have autism. So that means 5 out of 239 that were chosen for the study, based on the fact that they had enough information to research them, because there isn't much research on many of these people. So, only 5. Now, many want the Washington Post to retract the word significant, and you can go to change.org and sign the petition. I did. However, my fear is that fear has already been put in place. If you consider the fact that the average person that may not know someone with autism directly, that reads the paper on the weekend, or maybe just every morning, what do people normally do? They scan the titles. So even if they didn't read the article, they scanned this title. So now, what is their view going to be of people with autism? what is one of the first things that's going to pop into their head? They're going to be fearful. And that's horrible. I've seen posts by parents and psychologists that kids and teens are coming in and they're worried. You know, are they destined to become mass murderers? Parents are worried that, you know, bullying and hate crime is going to increase. Really, the media needs to watch what they say, and they need to check their facts before they post a title like that. The bottom line is words matter. Words are power. If they weren't, we wouldn't have books in school. We wouldn't have Twitter. We wouldn't have magazines. We wouldn't have people quoting people constantly on Facebook and other social media. Words are important. Because language and words are so important, I've been researching over several months the type of language to use in the autism community. And ultimately, I came across an article that I felt I would have wrote myself. I felt like it gave a balanced opinion on both sides. Of course, she supports her opinion more strongly, but I liked the fact that she cites all of the resources that she read on both sides of the issue, and even sources that sit the fence on whether or not to use person-first language, saying person with autism, versus identity-first language, saying autistic or Asperger's or Aspie. So our first opening article is written by Lydia Brown, who is a woman that is speaking from a first-person perspective. She is autistic, and she prefers to be known as autistic, not as a person with autism. And since that is what she prefers, I respect that. I mean, when I was younger, and even now still, I don't appreciate it when people call me Leslie Ann, even though it's my name. I prefer people to call me Leslie. Only my family calls me Leslie Ann. And anybody else that calls me that, it's just awkward. But obviously, this issue is much more deeper, much more heated in the community, and it should be. So I really encourage everyone to read Lydia Brown's article about person first versus identity first language, because it really opened my eyes, and I hope it opens yours as well. So because of Lydia Brown's article and all of the research that we have done, we have decided to predominantly start using identity-first, identity-led language. However, we will let the writers choose which language they prefer. The rest of our magazine is filled with great stuff this month. We now have a recipe, and we had a fantastic interview with Jennifer O'Toole, who created Asperkids. She herself has Asperger's, or is an Aspie, and she's come out with a ton of great books that are fun and educational. And her latest book is entitled The Asperkids Gameplan. And I think it's fantastic for summer, because instead of telling kids, you need to work on your social skills, I'm going to put you in a social skills group and the two of you are going to sit here and work on how to talk to each other, she came out with this book called The Asperkids Gameplan that's filled with all these fun games that are also educational, but also help build different skills that that autistic children may be struggling with. So it really, the book could be used for any child because it's filled with tons of great, fun, educational activities to do at home with at-home stuff that you have laying around your house. So I'm very excited to announce that we are going to be giving away the book in the month of June on Facebook. So please make sure you check out our Facebook later this month to be a part of possibly winning the Asperkids game plan. And we also wanted to mention to please let any family and friends know that may have been waiting for us to come out on Kindle, that we are now available on Kindle. Yay! So if people would prefer reading us on Kindle, make sure you check that out. I hope you all have a fantastic month of June and enjoy the beginning of your summer. I'll see you next month. I'm Leslie Burby, Editor-in-Chief of Autism Parenting Magazine.